I think there's a profound connection between life in the sea and humans. Every second breath you take is actually being produced, the oxygen in there is being produced by algae that live in the oceans.
It is a treasure trove of information. It's nature's laboratory, which has been open for almost 4 billion years now. So anything that's been tried in biology, nature has done it already, and it's probably swimming right there in the water.
One single organism, one single species of those that you are missing can completely change the field or can completely change the future of society. This is a superpower.
The power of merging science and arts is, I think, that you get the toolkit as a scientist to express the mysteries of life in a completely new dimension.
The sea is central. It is invisible to us, to be frank with you. So because we don't see it, we don't know what's happening there. It's been estimated that only about 5% of the oceans have been mapped, 5%. A planet that is primarily water. And to not know 95% of the world we inhabit, it's ludicrous. It is tragic. And so how do we know if the seas are healthy? How do we know if they're sick? How do we know whether or not they will continue to sustain life, which sustains our life? And so ignoring it is not really an option now. So my name is Alejandro Sanchez Alvarado, and I am a molecular biologist. What looking at small things does to your mind is to gain a profound appreciation of how complex our life is at that particular level. All of the pieces that have to come together for me to be able to have this conversation with you, for an organism to secure food or to reproduce, all of those mechanisms that are invisible, if we understand them, I think that we gain a very profound understanding of our own being, our relationship with nature, our relationship with ourselves and others, and just a deep appreciation for how valuable life really is. Yeah, that's a good picture. Good picture. Okay, you're hired. Okay, more. Picture. There, take a picture. There. Oh, you're too greedy. You're getting greedy now. It's really interesting for us to see things that would normally be invisible. And every time that I peer into a microscope, it's like somebody just moved a curtain. And every time I see it, even though it's true, I may have seen it 1,000 times, I always see something new. So it's as if I'm seeing it for the first time again.
I love this problem that we're trying to study in these marine organisms. So the other thing that really engages me is the hope or the aspiration that some of the problems that we're studying in these planktonic species can have some impact with respect to sustainability, understanding biodiversity, how these organisms contribute to food sources in the ocean. But I'm hopeful that we can have a bigger impact than that. And by studying these systems and partnering with others, I think we can do that.
So yeah, I'm Annika Guse and I'm a professor for cell biology at the LMU in Munich.
My name is Stefanie Guse and I'm an artist and I live in Vienna.
My sister and me, we've always been very close, and we also had some common friends. And they, as an illustrator group, they used to go to see each other once a year to a certain place and work together.
That's how it started. Annika was sort of an observer of our creative work, and she didn't say much. She was just there and enjoyed the situation. And of course, we were sort of like on a stage for her. And then she had the idea that this would be great to have in her own laboratory. And she asked us if we can visualize in this way her research question at that time. And we did that. And that was very great because this was the first time that I understood what she was doing. And so this was like an eye-opener to me, and that really helped her at the same time to invent new ideas about how to continue her research. And so yeah, this is how it started. And then we said, okay, we have to try this in different combinations.
How can we maybe adapt this concept or broaden up this concept to allow not only the interdisciplinary work within different types of illustration, but go beyond that and include everything ranging from social sciences, anthropology to computer sciences and beyond.
Okay, one person is not smiling, but I'm not telling you which one. But because of you need to do it again. Because of one person. Yeah? That's perfect.
Symbiosis is a biological concept where two distinct organisms work together in a team, and both organisms benefit from each other. So this project aims to combine science and arts in order to transform our relationship with the seas. Yeah, so we have this very strong personal relationship with Agilas, but we also believe that this is a very good place to have it as a model city. It is located in one of the driest regions in Europe. It's a climate change hotspot, and it faces many of the challenges that many Mediterranean cities have, such as the decline in fish stock, friction between recreational divers and fishermen, friction between them and people working in agriculture, and not enough jobs for the younger generations.
Bueno, en primer lugar quiero dar las gracias a este magnífico equipo y este magnífico proyecto que hayan elegido Águilas para estar aquí y para pasar aquí unos días y para mostrarnos, desde luego, todo el trabajo que estáis haciendo. La biología es algo que a mí me apasiona, por lo tanto este proyecto, desde luego, lo veo, la verdad es que muy positivo, y sobre todo es que la investigación es fundamental en la actualidad, y proyectos como este que impliquen universidades, alumnos, profesores, son siempre positivos para la sociedad.
So for me it was also the realization that with my hardcore science that I do in the academic context, we produce very interesting data, but we do not necessarily reach people. And there's so much data out there telling us what we need to do. Therefore, I think it's apparent that these days we need to work together in a bigger interdisciplinary team to look at these more global big problems from various angles and pool expertise.
Mainly we work together in a way that I would describe it this way. We start on different papers, and then we just either put it onto a wall so we can see what each other has done, and then pick it and cut it or draw over it and glue it together, or we sometimes do that in a digital way.
We used to discuss it, sure, but I think because we know each other so very well, we know very well what we can expect from each other. I know very well what they will do, how they will react maybe, even if I have some suggestions.
I think we challenge each other, and that's really good.
Yeah.
But the outcome is then surprising and most of the times better on the point than one of us on their own. From Alejandro, we had a TED Talk, and I think one quote was, "You don't have to go deep or far to reach the unknown." And he also compared basically the universe to the ocean and said we know less about the ocean than we know about the universe. So that's what we took as a starting point and worked from there for the poster.
There's the interesting story about it is that I was in Berlin and you painted this universe, it's up there at the wall, and we decided to just turn it around so that it will be a surface of the water from underwater.
This is the original of the background, and then the other things are were put together in Photoshop mainly.
I think we three are the symbiosis in images, I think.
If you have an illustration and it's maybe a storytelling kind of illustration, like, you know, not only an organism but something more, like a story, a joke, a weird angle or a weird comparison, then suddenly you feel like, oh yeah, actually this is fun, this is something I can relate to, and that's what I really like to reach.
By assembling this very diverse group of people, I really hope to get out unusual formats by allowing the people to be immersed in a place that's unusual to their normal environment, but that's very supportive and exploratory and friendly.
My name is Michael Lehner. I am a product designer.
I'm Andreas Bergmann. I'm coming from Berlin, Germany, and the both of us, we are always working in scenic design.
And we are working at the environment of the Symbiosis studio. We created these kind of buildings, these kind of working places.
I think leaving your common ground and going upstairs by up-leveling or down-leveling also generates a new point of views upon things. And while you're pondering about like specific problems and tasks, this changing of your own level helps you to initiate a process in your mind.
Thinking Hands is a visual communication. We're bringing people together from very, very different disciplines, I think, professions. All of them are not used to draw, so they are thrown into the unknown, you can say, and they are equalized like that.
We are trying to think on paper. We are talking about the same questions over and over again from different angles, but it's something totally different when you put it on paper. You have to be more precise and you have to get down to the core of it. And it's not about doing a nicely done picture, but to say something. I think this kind of communication is important for everybody, and especially for this way of doing work in a symbiotic way. because it's a means of communication everybody can read and everybody can use, and it's an international language.
When an artist looks at an apple and a scientist looks at an apple, it's the same object, but they're going to extract different information and interpretations from that. So I think that these are slightly different interpretations of the universe. They're both valid, and they are actually self-referential. So why not actively try to integrate those fields much more than traditionally has happened in the past?
It provides new avenues of things that we can go. So we can go actually farther. So the same field can go to a certain point. By combining with another field, you can always go farther. And I think that's extremely important, because the farther we go as a society, the better for us in the future. So I'm Iñaki Ruiz Trillo, and I'm evolutionary biologist that I work in Barcelona. At the end, we live in a world that is very specialized, but then sometimes this distracts you from seeing other parts. And then when something comes from another angle, it can create like new glasses, and then you see things different. Oh my God, I didn't see that. It was in front of me, actually sometimes for years, and then you see it with a clarity that you couldn't see before. If we imagine the whole diversity, the diversity of biological knowledge like a puzzle, it will be like we are missing half of the pieces of the puzzles. Imagine, with the information that we know from the organisms that we know, we have already discovered many things that are important for society, including penicillin and CRISPR and so on. One single organism, one single species of those that you are missing can completely change the future of biomedicine, or the future of architecture, or the future of biology as well. Because you can find something, a new molecule, a new antibiotic course, something completely new, something that we cannot even imagine now. As society, we know a lot about one single football player. If you consider one single football player, you can check on the internet and you know how many passes he's doing every year, how many passes are good or bad, how many goals, how many fouls, everything. And we know nothing about half of the diversity of the life, more than half of the diversity of life.
I actually think that chaos is a bit of a myth. I think chaos is only chaos until we realise and recognise the patterns in it. Nature can often seem like chaos, but we've also been able to apply order and patterns to pretty much everything. I'm Graham Brooks. I'm from the UK. Spent the last 7 or 8 years working and living in London, and 2 years ago decided to move to Águilas. Creativity is, it can be chaotic. In fact, it can be painful. You have conflict. You have points of people butting heads and finding it very difficult to work together. You embrace the chaos, you work through the problems that it creates, and you create incredibly powerful nuggets of information from that. I think that actually gets quite to the core of this theory and our brand of symbiosis, actually. It's the magic of getting things to work together through chaos. It results in quite powerful solutions. Well, as a designer, I suppose we try to codify communications in a visual sense. We're visual communicators. I've got a personal interest in data visualization, for example. And I think this is a very important area for this project too.
And what I envision for the LMU in Munich, for example, that with certain data that we create, that there is a huge repository that can be used for bachelor thesis, master thesis, or even PhD thesis in different fields.
As a creative director, I think we try to sort of elevate ourselves out of the small individual projects and think of the bigger picture. the model that we've built shows that it's very easy for us to create ideas on the outside of the model, you know, on the what, in the what area. And when people ask you, what are you doing? That's fairly easy, everybody can explain that. It's important for us to keep working towards the why. The center of the model essentially is where all the power lies, because people buy into the why. They buy into the thing that drives you. They buy into the reason that you're trying to change the world.
And the other important thing is to really involve the local people, the public, because you need to take them with you in order to trigger change or allow them to understand and to make the change, the necessary change with us together.
My name is Tanja Granzo. I'm a social anthropologist from the University of Heidelberg, and my main focus is on environmental anthropology and on the transformation of societies in times of climate change. I understand my main role as the one who listens very closely to the community here in Águilas. And since my specific focus is on the fishermen and their role and the changing circumstances of their lives here, I am doing mainly interviews and engaging with the fishermen in Águilas. From my interviews, I gained very different impressions. I first of all learned about those problems they're having with the EU regulations, but also many things about how the generational differences evolve, how for young people it is difficult to enter fishery, how many former fishermen now shift to aquaculture. So there is a lot of change, a lot of transformation going on. I have been working for non-governmental organizations internationally before in the field of development and humanitarian assistance. And the main point I saw going wrong with these projects was that people did not listen to the local population enough. They came to a place, tried to implement projects they thought would be well intended, but they had no idea what was going on locally. So it is of crucial importance, in my opinion, that if you come to a place and want to implement a project, you first of all need to understand the local situation very well and then really engage and integrate the people in the project in order to be successful.
We have to consider societal, commercial, local Aguileño contribution and economic beneficiaries from this project, because without that local knowledge, essentially we're undirected.
My father saw me first swim before walk, you know? It's crazy, it's true. My name is Javier Espinosa. I'm from Águilas. I'm an artist and diving instructor. The sea is all for me because you know I'm working in the sea. I paint something from the sea, so I can exist without the sea. The sea is all for me. To be honest, I feel like a visitor because you know, the human, we are not from the sea. But anyway, here in Águilas, it's like my house, and it's true that when I'm inside of the water, I feel that I know everything, no? Like how the seahorse move, when it's the season of the dolphins, when it's the season of the sunfish, and how everything is growing. I had a camera, so my way to show to others what I saw inside of the water in my diving experience was drawings, and I'm speaking about maybe when I was 8 years old. So right now it's like my identity. So I'm Javier Espinosa because I'm the divers and at the same time that I'm the artist. I think the art can be a way to share it. This project is about the future of the sea, and with the scientific, the biologists, the anthropologists, the artists that we are working here, and we are working together from different countries. That's amazing, and I think it can be a nice dream for the future and for the future of islands and for the future of the ocean.
My name is Niels Dingemanse. I'm born in the Netherlands and I live in Germany, and I'm a professor in behavior ecology at the Ludwig Maximilian University in Munich. My task was to integrate the student projects into the bigger projects. The students, for example, often ask us whether we have projects on offer that really allow them to help creating a more sustainable world. And this is the type of project where the students can actively work on that.
Hola, I'm Beatrice, and right here is our diving school where we go snorkeling and diving. Hi everyone, I'm Jackie and I'm a biology student from the LMU Munich. At the moment I'm at the Huerto in Aguilas, where our project is taking place. And right now I'm in my favorite room with the science station. And here you can see Bene.
Hi.
He's currently working on our pictures we're collecting and doing snorkeling. And this is Bea. Hi. And she's working on plankton stuff that we found. So yeah, have a nice day.
For example, the project that the students have been doing, where they are taking pictures of all kinds of animals, this will be very useful because we can use these pictures to create automated recognition devices with artificial intelligence, so that people later on can simply take pictures of animals and then work out via their phone directly what that species is. And that is very interesting because that allows people to not just see wildlife, but also work out what these species are, and that will connect them better to, I think, our natural world. I think the students are much more aware, I think, than many of the older established scientists, how important it is to do this outreach. And this is, of course, an experiment that has very rarely been done, but where I feel that this will only be beneficial and be very fruitful for understanding how we as scientists can communicate this message to other people, to other scientists, but also to politicians, for example, and to people making policies about how to protect our natural worlds.
So myself, we combine research and marine biology with storytelling and with filmmaking. And I think that those other disciplines that are more creative, they are not so constricted and confined by certain methods. They actually help researchers to think differently and to open their minds. My name is Janis Landschoff. I'm a marine biologist working for the Sea Change project in Cape Town, South Africa. The ocean means everything to me. It's my work, my life, my livelihood, my everything. And it also means a larger container for us as humans to live with and to live in and to live from. We dive in the ocean every day. I dive in the cold waters of Cape Town. We dive without a wetsuit most of the times. And to break through that barrier every day is, I think, one of the most extreme experiences in a way. And my approach is to really know that one ecosystem at a very, very deep and fundamental level. In a professional space, I'm a marine biologist, so I study the place also scientifically. You often come across things that you've never seen in your life. And to then use your camera, your observational skills, to use your camera to really document that and to zoom into that organism, animal or plant, and then to really figure out how that animal functions. and what it does in that environment. And to realize that nobody had ever really documented that or realized that. That is always one of the best moments for me, to be in the water and have that realization that you've stumbled across something completely new. And that's always the best moment.
5, 6, 7, and 1, 2, 3, 4, back.
As I was snorkeling, I was studying and learning the underwater life and the creatures. And for our dance project, we used several creatures like fish schools, like an octopus, but we also tried to imitate the seagrass. My name is Daniela Mühlbauer. I'm from Austria. I'm a dancer and choreographer. For this case, I tried to create a performance dance that is inspired by the sea.
One after another.
We are a common group, some acting students, and we also have scientist students, and we have a local participant. The work with the scientists is very nice. It goes both ways. So they are joining our dance project. On the other hand, they let us take part in their studying.
I think the future of the project is bright. I think this year was already very successful. And in the long run, I envision to create an institution, a think tank, where people meet on a regular basis to work across disciplines. And then I think for me a very important feature of this is to create a new educational hub where we bring international students that are immersed early on in their career into multidisciplinary approaches. They will learn how to interact and communicate and work across disciplines, and I envision this to be the future leaders of our societies.
The highlight of the last 2 weeks was actually to explain with emotions why I'm so excited about science. So this project had a huge impact on my thinking as a scientist because it opened up many more perspectives than I had previously seen.
Everything that I need, it's here. So every people that I need around me are here. It's the first step of maybe one of my best moments in my art. Now I have this information that we were speaking about the scientific. I wanna work with this project in my own way with my illustration and with my murals, and I think it's this is me too.
I really would like to see Agilas as a place connected to international hotspots of exploratory research concerning the sea. Our focus would be combining it with arts, but of course we are interested in other institutions who combine it with journalism, for example, filmmaking or philosophy. So I'm very open to that, and I would like to establish a very complex educational system with all these aspects.
Nobody takes pictures of you guys. That's why. I think that the more we learn about the seas, and I mean everything about the seas, from the microscopic to the macroscopic, the sharper the urgency will become on trying to preserve the only planet in the universe we know harbors life.